Welcome to the Fishbowl with Jade. Thank you for being here. I don't take your presence lightly because time is something you can never get back. So go ahead, put on your scuba gear because today we're diving deep. Let me ask you something. When a man loves his mother, we often see that as a good thing, right? We say he respects his mother, he honors her, he's close to her, so he'll treat a woman the same way. But is that always true? Or can something that looks like love turn into something that feels like control? On this episode, we're getting into a topic that actually inspired one of my stories, Mama's Boy. And let me be clear, there is nothing wrong with loving your mother. The question is, when does love cross the line into ownership? When does closeness become control? And when does a relationship stop being healthy and start becoming toxic? Because I've seen it and I've experienced it. I once dealt with a man whose mother was so controlling, so emotionally attached, that he couldn't even leave town without sneaking. And if he didn't answer his phone, she would call him over 100 times. Now, let me ask you, how do you compete with someone's mother? Or better yet, should you even have to? From a psychological perspective, what we're really looking at in some of these situations is emotional enmeshment. That's when the boundaries between two people become blurred, where one person's emotions, needs, and identity start to overlap with the other. In a healthy mother son relationship, there is love, respect, and support, but there is also separation. The son grows up, develops his own identity, and eventually creates space for his own life. But in an enmeshed relationship, that separation never fully happens. The mother may begin to rely on her son emotionally in ways that go beyond what is appropriate. She may look to him for validation, for companionship, for emotional fulfillment. And over time, the son may feel responsible for her happiness. So now he's not just her son, he becomes her emotional partner. And that's where things begin to shift. Because when a man is already emotionally assigned to his mother, there is very little room left for a partner. Now, let's talk about the social side because this doesn't just happen randomly. In some cases, this dynamic is more common in single parent households where a mother raises a son alone. And this is not every situation, but sometimes when a woman doesn't have a partner, that emotional space can unintentionally shift onto the child, especially if the son becomes the man of the house, the protector, the one she leans on. What may start as survival can evolve into dependency, and when that son becomes an adult and tries to build a relationship, there's tension. The mother may feel like she's losing something, and the son may feel guilty for creating distance. That guilt keeps the cycle going. Now, let's bring this into real life because women feel this dynamic before they can always explain it. It shows up as constant interruptions during time together, a mother who has to be consulted on everything, over involvement in decisions, and emotional reactions when boundaries are attempted. It shows up in situations where a grown man cannot move freely, cannot make independent choices, and cannot create space without feeling pressure or obligation. And for the woman in the relationship, it creates a silent competition. And let's be clear, you should never have to compete with a parent. So now we have to talk about the red flags. These are the things people see early on but often ignore. When he cannot make decisions without consulting his mother, when his mother has strong opinions about his relationships and openly expresses them, when he feels guilty setting even small boundaries, when his time is heavily influenced or controlled, when he avoids conflict with his mother at all costs, and when you feel like an outsider in his life instead of a priority. And the biggest one of all is when he recognizes the issue but does nothing to change it, because awareness without action keeps you in the same dynamic. Now, let's talk about solutions because this is not about attacking men. This is about growth. First, there has to be awareness. He has to recognize the difference between love and enmeshment, between respect and obligation. Second, there have to be boundaries, and boundaries are not disrespect. Boundaries sound like, I love you, but I need to make my own decisions, or I respect you, but my relationship is separate. Third, There has to be emotional independence. He has to understand that his role is not to manage his mother's emotions, because if he is responsible for her happiness, he will never be fully available for anyone else. And finally, there has to be consistency, because one conversation is not enough. Boundaries have to be maintained over time. Now, for the women listening, this is where you have to be honest with yourself. Can this man create space for you, or are you stepping into a dynamic that's already full? Because you cannot build a relationship where there is no room, and you cannot force someone to set boundaries they are not ready to create. So sometimes the real question is not how do I fix this, but do I want to live with this? Because patterns don't change without intention. So now when we say he loves his mother, we have to ask, what kind of love is it? Is it healthy, balanced, and supportive? Or is it consuming, controlling, and leaving no space for anyone else? Because not all love is healthy love. And that's the part people don't talk about. So let me leave you with this. You should never have to compete with someone's mother, but you also should never be in a position where you feel like you are, because a healthy man can love his mother deeply and still create space for a partner. That's not disrespect, that's balance. And if there is no balance, then what you're dealing with is not just closeness, it's control. And if you want to know how that relationship ended for me, you're going to have to read the book. The Mama's Boy. The Rival is available on Amazon Kindle. Just search Jade Mills. And don't forget, The Fishbowl with Jade can be found on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you for sitting in the bowl with me. Now let's come back up to the surface, decompress, reflect, and ask yourself, am I entering a relationship or am I stepping into a dynamic that was never meant to include me? Until next time, stay classy, stay curious, stay ever evolving.